Unavailable. Adult.
Hi everybody, it's Sam. Today is February 13th and I am doing a video on my symptoms that I have had for a year, a little over a year, and whether or not people who experience psychosis have also experienced some of these symptoms, because they're not directly about hearing voices, but I've read a little bit on the internet and it seems like they might be related. So I have to do it really quick because I'm actually going down for meds. And one of the side effects of my new med, the Seroquel, is that about a half an hour later, I just am exhausted. I am exhausted. So anyways, okay, so I had the panic attack in December of 2017. We know that, big panic attack. I felt like I was gonna die, whatever. That same day, I had trouble speaking. And the trouble speaking is that I would not know, like I'd have so many thoughts in my head, I just couldn't organize my thoughts, I guess. And someone would ask me something and I wouldn't even know like what to say. I would just be like, huh? But the worst thing is that when I knew what to say but I couldn't say it right. It's like my mind and my voice on how to actually speak and form the words and how to say the sentence was all screwy. So I wouldn't be able to pronounce words, whatever. I would just stutter, and really bad. And just totally could barely, and it would come and go. I would be fine, and then it would just happen. So even that first day, I had that problem, and I had that problem the next week when I saw my therapist for the second session, which I'll talk about in a second. So that was the speaking thing. And then the other thing that happened that day, because it was the day we toured Clayton, so we came home, and I was washing my hair, and it felt like my hands weren't attached to my body, and it felt like someone else was controlling my hands, and like someone else was washing my hair. And when I was like touching the shampoo, it felt like I'd never touched it before or something. It was just really weird. So there was that. And then that next Monday, when I had the session, the second session with Jonathan, we were going to talk more about, I think, moving or something. But and it's very fuzzy. I have a recording of it, which is why I know as much about it as I do. But I was very upset. I came in and right away I had trouble speaking, and he was very scared of all this. I know, and overwhelmed. So he's like, "Why are you having trouble?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then I was like screaming, and then the next thing I remembered, I was like done with the session, and I had been sitting on the ground because I was afraid I was going to fall out of the chair if I had a panic attack. So I was like laying on the ground, and I had totally been out of awareness of myself, and apparently was speaking and saying I was all these different people and not myself, and totally acting as if I was different ages, things like that. So that was the pattern of basically the next few months that I had that going on. I had the talking thing going on, and I would hear these people's voices in my head, and then there was times that I would really be pushed out of my sense of self and black out, basically. And so the other thing that happened was, along with the talking, was, listening. I would hear what the person had to say, but it's like I had to relate that to like myself in that moment. Like I think the one example I can think of is, Jess was like, "Hey, do you want to go to the store? Like, when do you want to go to the store to get snacks?" And the speed of how she said that sentence for me, it was just like la 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 la. Like there was everything just ran together, and so I had to like slow it down in my head and figure out what the words were, and then like figure out what they meant. Like, oh, when do you want to go to the store? The store? Like, what's the store? Oh, the store where we buy stuff. Okay. When do I want to go? I don't want to go. And I'd say that, I'm like, well, why are you talking to me about this right now? I can't do anything beyond like the moment, and I get really confused. So there was that, and then there was a lot of stuff where it's like my whole senses were either really sharp and clear or really not there and just dimmed out. And so like it would be anything from touch, where it's like I could feel the clothes on my skin really, any kind of textures, I could feel them so intensely. I would touch like a warm bowl of like my oatmeal and touch the side, and it was hot, but it wasn't so hot, but it felt like I was like burned. I would hear sounds so loud, it would like echo in my ears, or I'd hear, nothing, and I would have a hard time hearing the actual sounds, never mind making sense of what the person was saying. Certain sounds would really trigger me. Now, clapping and whistling still do, but I would, have other sounds. I had, I'm trying to think of how else to say, the hearing, the touch. If someone touched me, sometimes I would feel like I was being like touched under my skin. It was just so intense. Or someone could touch me and I wouldn't even feel it. So it was those types of experiences, and those went on all together in whatever way they felt like till March, when we moved to Clayton. And the day we moved to Clayton was the day I stopped having the sense things, and it was so weird. And the communication stuff, I don't know if it's that I came in the door and I quickly realized I couldn't be that vulnerable here, and that I couldn't just be all hanging out, so I was still having the blacking out issues and the feeling like I was separate from my body and detached from my body, or wasn't even aware. And so I was having that until I worked with my friend on the spiritual side, and so she got me more in depth. But then we did that. But these symptoms of the feeling detached from your body, feeling like your senses are either like way on high or like not there at all, and the thing about being pushed out of your sense of awareness and acting like other people, I would like to hear about that and to know what people's thoughts are if they've actually experienced that themselves. And speaking of, we have to go get my Seroquel. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Web stop button. Stop.